Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second episode of the Hicks Flix solo show. My name, of course, is Sean Hicks, and I'm currently one-third of the cast of the Multiverse Dungeon podcast. Now, you can find this video in their video library with a cavalcade of other videos by the other two co-hosts, Mike Charlotte and Sean Barry, as well as our collective three-way podcast, which will take place at the end of the week. Fun fact about me, I am an avid collector of Funko Pop figurines. If I could turn my camera around to show you, I could show you my 8x8 Funko Pop wall, which is actually expanding out into a depth of 2 squares. Maybe I'll talk to you guys about that in an upcoming solo video if I have nothing else to talk about. But today, I want to talk to you guys about my favorite football team of all time. I got my Michael Strahan jersey on, and today we're talking about New York Giants. Unfortunately, I had to send my tweets goodbye to 3 players who I thought were instrumental in the success of the 2016 season, but that the team feels are going to go in a different direction. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those players who released today, their contributions coming up to the last season, and of course, where they may or may not be headed. I'm sorry, I lied. No player yet has speculated where they're going to go. So we're just going to talk to you a little bit about their upcoming stats and, what contributions have made to their being released. We're going to start you today with Larry Donnell, starting tight end for the Giants for the first half of their season, up until the bye week where Larry Donnell was downgraded to the number 2 tight end spot. A little history about Larry Donnell. He was undrafted out of Grambling State in 2011, made the Giants practice squad in 2012, and had an explosive season in 2014 with 623 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. Now, some mistakes were made this season, which may or may not have led to the unsigning, but however, we cannot ignore the fact that he was one of the worst blocking tight ends this season, and his suffered drop passes and fumbles made him very unpopular with new head coach Ben McAdoo, and I guess the team has just decided now is a good time to go in a different direction. Not much else I can tell you about Larry Donnell, so I'm going to go on to starting running back Rashad Jennings. Now, he was the team's starting running back this year up until week 17, where the team would give the reins over to rookie Paul Perkins, who would start for the last regular season game of the season. Perkins would end that game with 102 rushing yards on 21 carries. Now, he would be, incidentally, the only Giants rusher this season to break 100 yards in a game. Jennings, as a whole, finished the year with 593 rushing yards collectively on 181 carries and a 3.3 yard average, which isn't great. In Jennings' career, he would manage to separate himself by other running backs in the category by his ability to create yards after contact. But this season would prove one of his worst stats to date since entering the NFL. Some could speculate that the Giants' offensive line issues this season would contribute heavily to his low stats. However, being on the upside of 30, the team feels that now is a good time to go in a different direction, and I wish him well in his upcoming career. Whether or not they go after running back Eddie Lacy, who is heading to free agency, or they just give the job over to Paul Perkins, I'm not too sure where they're going to go in that, but I wish Rashad Jennings well, and of course I wish the Giants well. I hope they pick a new running back to replace him. But before I rabble on too long, I'm going to go up to the last cut for today, and that is, of course, fan favorite Victor Cruz. Victor Cruz was a wide receiver and a big fan favorite. He was undrafted out of UMass in 2010 and would go on and be an instrumental part of their winning Super Bowl 46, as the Giants would beat the New England Patriots 20-17. Victor Cruz's best season when he wasn't injured would come in 2011 with 82 receptions, 1,536 yards on an 18.7 average with 9 touchdowns. Like I said, career injuries would keep down this rising star. His worst season played coming up in 2014, with just 23 receptions and 337 yards and 1 touchdown. Now, while the 2014 season was surpassed by this season, where he had 39 receptions, 586 yards and a touchdown, the Giants would save $7.5 million in cap room by releasing him. Combined with the Rashad Jennings $2.5 million, giving them $10 million, they could easily keep some of the defensive players coming up to unrestricted free agency, such as Jason Pierre-Paul and Jonathan Hankins. Now, the Giants have always been like a defense-first team priority, and I don't think they should change anything with their defense. However, the offense does need some improvements. So, the wide receiver spot, we see some free agents heading in. Deshaun Jackson and Terrell Pryor. Deshaun Jackson, most of his career from Philadelphia, and the last season or two playing with the Washington Redskins. He enters the free agency, not really on good terms with Washington, so he's a name to look out for, as well as Terrell Pryor, who is a good running back on the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Cleveland Browns are always kind of that pick and choose team where they trade off players all the time. So Terrell Pryor making it to the New York Giants isn't really that big of a stretch. However, wherever the Giants decide to go with wide receiver, we saw Sterling Shepard have a great role in Victor Cruz's normal spot with the slot receiver, and of course Odell Beckham Jr. with the long ball. Hopefully Odell Beckham Jr. can work on some of those drop passes he had this season, but overall we have some talent on the team. And where the Giants decide to go after releasing the 3 players already mentioned, we'll see. I have no further evidence to tell you who's going to come on the team, who's going to come off the team, but I will keep you guys up to date on that. Now, that's all the football news I have today to talk to you guys about, and I'm probably about 5 minutes in, so I'm going to switch off to the topic that really hasn't really hit hard on the podcast, and we really haven't had the chance to talk about video games. A couple of my favorite series of all time, Monster Rancher, Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid, Parasite Eve. But I have 2 games currently on pre-order. Halo Wars 2 and Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, while I'm excited for both, I can easily say I'm more excited for Mass Effect Andromeda, which I believe comes out next month or the month after, whereas Halo Wars 2 comes out the end of this month. Halo Wars is a good adaptation to the Halo franchise, which is a more real-time strategy-based concept, and Halo Wars, and Mass Effect Andromeda, of course, is going to be another spin-off installation of the popular series which we saw the first 3 games. Now, I hope this game also makes it to a trilogy, which I don't see why not, where, of course, your decisions will carry over into the next game. I'm very excited for that. I'm not going to drag out this video too much longer, guys, so I'm just going to say, if you see the video, tweet me or comment some of your favorite video game moments, some of your favorite sports moments, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, under all the same taglines, Hicksy Dust, and of course you can find this video on the Multiverse Dungeon Podcast, which you can find under Multiverse Dungeon Podcast on YouTube and Facebook. Thank you guys. Leave your comments, leave your feedback, and I'll be back next week with another solo vid. And of course, look out for our collective podcast at the end of the week. Thank you guys. Have a great night.